Japan is a utopia. That is, if you look from afar. But if you look closely enough, you'll see something very dark and sinister. When we think of Japan, we imagine robots gliding through factories, kids walking safely home at night, and a culture so rich it inspires the world. It seems like the perfect country, safe, innovative, and full of opportunity. But what if I told you that this picture-perfect image isn't the full story? Beneath all the success lies a hidden crisis. Millions of people, about 17 million or 15% of Japan's population, have been left behind. What's being called the lost generation are people in their 30s and 40s who were supposed to be in the prime of their lives. Instead, they're stuck. No jobs, no families, no future. For them, Japan's shining image isn't inspiring, it's heartbreaking, like a dream they'll never get to realize. The worst part is, this isn't just their struggle. It's a silent sign of Japan's dark future. As the population shrinks and the economy slows down, the challenges of the lost generation are becoming a ticking time bomb for the entire country. But how did this happen? How did a country known for its success end up leaving so many people behind? And what does this mean for Japan's future and maybe even for other countries heading in the same direction? This is the dark story of Japan's lost generation. In 1985, Japan stood at the peak of global economic power. For 3 decades, the country had transformed from post-war ruins to an economic powerhouse. This extraordinary growth earned a special nickname, the Japanese Miracle. After World War II, no one believed Japan could rebuild, let alone become a global economic leader. But through hard work and unique strategies, Japan succeeded. By the 1980s, it was more than a rising power, it was the power to watch. US pundits weren't just impressed, they were afraid. Newspapers warned of an economic Pearl Harbor. Movies like Die Hard and Blade Runner played on fears of Japanese corporations conquering Western markets. Japan wasn't just a competitor, it was an obsession. While everyone was watching, nobody truly understood the real cause behind all the growth. The cause was the keiretsu. However, this very source of prosperity was soon to become the reason for the eventual decline. The keiretsu were these powerful corporate alliances that dominated all the major industries. Keiretsu weren't just companies. They owned shares in each other, worked together, and supported struggling members. The Japanese government backed these alliances aggressively. It provided cheap loans, protected them from foreign competition, and locked down domestic markets. This created an economic fortress designed to make Japan unbeatable. The results were staggering. Companies like Sony, Toyota, Panasonic, and Honda conquered global markets. They earned reputations for quality and reliability. The Japanese stock market soared. Real estate prices skyrocketed. The middle class grew wealthy and optimistic. The miracle transformed ordinary workers' lives. In the 1980s, success seemed guaranteed. Study hard, get a university degree, join a big company, and you were set for life. Lifetime employment promised stability. Promotions came slowly, but steadily. Millions of Japanese families flourished. Parents worked long hours, confident in their children's futures. Children studied tirelessly, believing academic success guaranteed life success. The system worked with mechanical precision. By 1991, Japan had become the world's second largest economy. Experts predicted it would soon overtake the United States. Some believed a new era, the Japanese century, had begun. Yet beneath the spectacular growth, cracks were forming. No one noticed, or perhaps no one wanted to see. The miracle balanced on a foundation of risky loans and speculative bubbles. But miracles don't last forever. Japan's economic rise was extraordinary but fragile. It wasn't a question of if the miracle would stop, but when. And when it stopped, it would bring down more than just an economy. An entire generation would fall with it. For 30 years, Japan seemed invincible. Its economy defied expectations, climbing to incredible heights. The stock market soared. Real estate prices exploded. The world watched in awe. Then came the 1990s, a decade that would destroy the dream. By the late 1980s, Japan's economy overheated. Investors poured money into stocks and real estate, believing investing in prices would rise forever. The mantra was simple: invest more, earn more. Logic didn't matter. The economy looked like a machine generating wealth from nothing. The speculation reached absurd levels. Tokyo's Imperial Palace grounds were worth more than California's entire real estate market. The National Bank of Japan printed money recklessly. It gave loans to anyone, completely ignoring borrower credibility. This was a house of cards built on cheap, endless cash. In 1992, the bubble burst. This bubble wasn't a slow deflation, it was a violent collapse. The stock market crashed, losing 43% of its value. Real estate prices plummeting, billions of dollars vanished overnight. Ordinary Japanese people lost their savings. Companies couldn't repay massive loans. The economic engine ground to a halt. Investigations were launched to find the cause of this collapse. These investigations revealed widespread corruption. Insider trading, stock manipulation, and bribery infected major corporations and government offices. The trust holding Japan's system together shattered. Zombie companies emerged. Businesses kept alive by government loans. They didn't innovate. They simply survived, draining resources from healthier enterprises. Japan's economy fell into prolonged stagnation. The 1990s became the lost decade, a period of sluggish growth and widespread disillusionment. When the economy tanked, companies froze hiring. This protected existing employees but devastated young workers. Graduates entering the workforce found themselves locked out. These young people couldn't get stable jobs. They were forced into part-time or low-wage work. What should have been the start of their careers became an endless cycle of dead ends. Other countries eventually recovered from economic downturns. Japan did not. Its lost decades stretched into lost decades, trapping younger generations in the same stagnant system. The bubble's collapse was more than an economic disaster. It was a generational catastrophe. It left behind broken dreams, shattered futures, and a system unable to adapt. For the lost generation, the Japanese miracle became a cruel joke. For the world, Japan's story became a warning. Even the most dazzling economic success can collapse with devastating human consequences.